Hi, I'm Alicia Butler-Pierre. Thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. The episode that you're about to listen to is a pre-recording of my podcast, The Business Infrastructure Curing Back Office Blues Show. If you hear some topics that are of interest to you, you can learn more about them by reading my book, Behind the Facade, and I'll tell you more about that after the end of this episode.
Growth is good, right? Well, what happens when you have more growth than you can handle? Welcome back, everybody, to the Business Infrastructure Curing Back Office Blues Show. I'm your hostess, Alicia Butler-Pierre, and last week I explained who exactly needs business infrastructure. And not only that, but what's required of you as the business owner in implementing it. Now, in case you're new to the show, I'm going to go ahead and repeat the formal definition of what business infrastructure actually is. It's simply a system that links your company's goals with the people, processes, and tools necessary to support those goals in a profitable, scalable, and sustainable manner. Now, today I'm going to focus on when there's absolutely no doubt that your small business needs business infrastructure. Now, going back to my original question, what does happen when you have more business than you can handle? Well, the first two things that come to my mind are chaos, possible implosion. And that may seem a bit drastic, but I've actually seen this play out with some of the clients that I've worked with, as well as people that I've read about in newspapers, magazine articles, online. And I'm going to share one of those examples with you in just a few minutes. Now, what exactly does unmanageable fast growth look like? Well, it can manifest itself in a number of ways, and here are just some of the ways that it can manifest itself. One, you might start seeing an increase in customer complaints. Two, you might see an inconsistency in product or service delivery, which oftentimes is what causes the increase in the customer complaints. It could manifest itself in the form of a failed audit, especially for those of us who operate businesses that are heavily regulated and therefore regularly audited. If you're growing like crazy, a lot of times important details that auditors look for fall through the cracks. And that auditor may catch you right at that exact moment when you don't have certain details taken care of, and as a result, your company receives a citation. Another way that fast growth manifests itself, or unmanageable fast growth, I should say, is high employee turnover. So just like you may start to realize an increase in customer complaints, your employees can be very unhappy with you as well. And as a result, they leave. And that is a metric that not only severely impacts small businesses, but I see this in large corporations as well. And I'm astounded whenever I hear that there are certain large enterprises that don't even track that metric, that employee turnover metric. And it's a costly metric. And another way that unmanageable fast growth can manifest itself is in late fees. Again, this goes back to certain details falling through the cracks. It may not seem like a big deal, but what if you start paying certain invoices late? Well, with many companies, there's an interest fee, there's a late fee, there's a penalty of some sort. And that can add up over time if it goes unchecked for too long. Now, whenever you start to experience symptoms like this in your company, it makes the case for business infrastructure a no-brainer. because angry customers are always louder than happy ones. But it's not just angry customers. It could also be angry employees, vendors, certifying agencies, your creditors. In other words, any persistent problem that you have in any part of your company's ecosystem could be a sign of unmanageable fast growth. And as we all know, bad news always travels faster than good news. Now, you may be wondering what actually causes this. Well, there could be a number of reasons, but lack of order, organization, and structure are just some of the causes. It's not having the right people in place. It could be that you have missing or broken processes, or processes that aren't followed at all. It could be that you're not integrating the right technologies or tools into your day-to-day operations, and therefore it's causing this inefficiency, or for some reason it's causing the output of whatever it is that you sell, your final product or service, to be inconsistently delivered. In other words, this all goes back to the lack of business infrastructure. And I'm often asked, whenever I'm talking about business infrastructure out there with other entrepreneurs and business owners, well, which comes first? It's almost like the chicken or the egg. And if it were up to me in a perfect world, I wish that every business at the startup stage would start to take a look at some of the elements of business infrastructure. Because your infrastructure can grow as your company grows, or as the demand for whatever it is that you sell grows. But unfortunately, things like business infrastructure, operations, processes, continuous improvement, those tend to be things that take a back seat oftentimes to marketing and sales and public relations and publicity and branding, right? So operations isn't considered to be the quote-unquote sexy part of the business. But let me tell you something, if you don't have it in place, it will sure enough make sure that you go out of business. Have you ever heard of the Oprah Effect? The first time I heard that term, it was when I attended a conference back in 2005, and Sarah Blakely, the now billionaire behind the Spanx brand, was speaking. And as she was telling her story of how she came to create her product and eventually mass market it, she mentioned that she was going to have the opportunity to go on Oprah's TV show for the first time. And that in preparing for her appearance, the producers from Oprah's TV show told her, or I should say warned her, whatever you do, make sure that your back office systems are in place. Because the minute this episode that you will appear on goes live, it will be a game changer for you. And she started to share examples that they shared with her about people reporting their websites crashing because all of a sudden there was this large volume of people who had never heard of a particular business before, all of a sudden flooding a particular website. Or people just simply not being able to meet the orders for whatever product they were displaying or showcasing on Oprah's show. Well, thankfully for Sarah Blakely, she heeded that warning and she made sure she had the infrastructure in place to support that surge in demand once she appeared on Oprah's show. Now, that's an example of someone heeding the warning. But I have another cautionary tale of what can go wrong when your company doesn't have business infrastructure in place. And when that iron was hot, that entrepreneur did not strike it at the right time. Last year, 2017, there was an Atlanta-based company that won a $156 million contract from FEMA. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with FEMA, it stands for the Federal Emergency Management Agency here in America. And according to their website, their mission is, and I quote, to support citizens and first responders to ensure that as a nation we work together to build, sustain, and improve our capability to prepare for, protect against, respond to, recover from, and mitigate all hazards. Now, based on reports, the owner of this company that won the $156 million contract from FEMA, that contract stated that her company was to deliver 30 million prepackaged meals to Puerto Rico following the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. And only 20 days after the contract was awarded, FEMA terminated the contract due to late delivery of the meals. Now, according to what I have seen in the news and read online, of those 30 million prepackaged meals, only 50,000 were actually delivered at the point that the contract was terminated. Now, when I first heard this story, my reaction probably wasn't the immediate reaction that many other people may have had. Many people, when they heard this story, they were absolutely appalled, which they should have been, at the fact that this was a one-person operation that was awarded a $156 million contract. Clearly, there was no scale in place. There were not enough people, yet alone the right people in place to be able to deliver those 30 million meals. But I also looked at it from a perspective of, well, how was this company awarded the contract in the first place? There was some due diligence that FEMA clearly did not do. Because if they had, they never would have awarded the contract to this solopreneur. Now, as a person who has actually bid on federal contracts before, I can tell you, they ask for all kinds of information about you, your company, the people who work for you, the people that you intend to subcontract your work out to, if you will do that. They ask for everything but a DNA sample. I mean, seriously. And there's a committee, usually, of people who review your bid or your proposal. So at what point in this person being awarded this contract did someone not realize that this was a one-person operation? It's mind-blowing to me. Now, there's nothing wrong with working with other people, having vendors, having subcontractor, prime contractor relationships. But if you're going to do that, you have to do your homework. You have to do your due diligence when you're outsourcing work or partnering with other companies. What does due diligence look like? Well, one, making sure you get contracts in place to protect yourself and your company. It also means really having an understanding of the person that you are about to enter, or the company that you're about to enter into a partnership with, that you have an understanding of their bandwidth and their capacity. In other words, put them through a rigorous vetting process. This is your reputation that's on the line. Ask for references and recommendations. And look, I get it. It's hard to say no when you have the opportunity to do some work and to do something so big with so much impact. But you always have to think about your capacity. And that's where business infrastructure can come in. Business infrastructure, again, is looking at, do I have the people? Are they the right people? Do I have the processes to make sure that we can deliver this, that we can supply the demand? Do I have the tools and the technologies in place to be able to execute? And if you don't have those things in place, don't even bother bidding on work. Don't even bother accepting work, because you won't be able to handle it. Don't bite off more than you can chew. And money, no matter the amount, is not worth ruining your reputation over. At this point, you know what business infrastructure is, why it's needed, who needs it, and when. All that's missing is where and how. So stay tuned for next week, when I will share with you the where and how you can actually implement business infrastructure, whether you're looking to open new locations, franchise your company, or even sell your business. In the meantime, if you're ready to start implementing business infrastructure right now in your business, check out this free report that I've prepared just for you. Go to processforcashflow.com. When you get to that site, you'll be able to download a free report called How to Use Business Processes to Increase Cash Flow. Again, that website is processforcashflow.com. You'll get a sneak peek into how processes are used in creating business infrastructure. Now, did you learn something today that you think your colleagues can benefit from? Then don't keep it to yourself. Like, comment, and share this information with your colleagues. We have to look out for each other. And as always, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Just search for Alicia Butler Pierre. And remember, stay focused, be encouraged. This entrepreneurial journey is a marathon and not a sprint. Until the next time.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If so, be sure to like the video and be sure to subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when our next episode airs. And remember, if there are topics that you want to learn more about, you can do that by reading my book, Behind the Facade. I'll see you next time.